hope you're at least okay. Today is a Tuesday. I had to think really hard about it for no reason. Oh, here's my new plant. It's not really that new. I've had it for a bit. But now it's here. And then there's Siri. I should probably put it up. The plant is really big. I haven't figured out where I'm going to put it yet. Also, as you can see, the algae bloom looks a lot better, so I'm pretty satisfied. And yes, it's a bougainvillea. I got it on sale. Add it to one of my many plants. I also have more propagation. It's fine. It's fine. This is how I cope with stress. I just get more plants. That is what I do. Was it the best decision? I don't know. Oh, fuck. It's so bad. Oh! Oh my god. Kaisa not finished the Mafia-thon. Not gonna lie, I did watch some of it. I know. Judge me. He's playing basketball with LeBron. He has so many fucking viewers right now. Holy shit. Wait, hold up. Wait a minute. All of it just a week ago. In my house, every party, every weekend, so on the radio, and my favorite song. Sorry. It's just, it starts, and then I can't stop. I technically can. I don't fucking know. Wait, let's see. Let's see. Is he doing like the just chatting or whatever? Let's see. Hi, George. How are you? Mr. Al-Nur. What the fuck? Here it is. Oh my god. He has like almost 700k fucking viewers right now. Dude went wild this time around. It's actually not a bad thing. It honestly makes me have more hope in streaming. There's probably some controversial shit that happened. Like, I heard that you probably have no idea what I'm talking about. I don't know. I try not to talk about other creators much. But when there's like a huge milestone, even if I don't really watch your content, and he's not like an Asmongold, so yeah. That was really interesting. What are you talking about? So there's a streamer. I don't know a lot about this streamer, but he's not in the political realm or in the, oh, let's hang out and just do like chill stuff realm. He does very, I don't fucking know what to describe his content as because I don't watch his content. But he decided to do what's called like a Mafia-thon. Or basically it's like a subathon, like a really long subathon. And that's where people stream basically nonstop for a certain amount of time, trying to either hit a goal of a certain amount of subscribers or followers or whatever, and then they stop. But sometimes people just have it timed out and they just do it for fun. Like, it's on my like bucket list to do like one of them, you know, which is kind of stupid, but not to like fundraise for me, but I fundraise for like other things if I were to make money off of it. But anyways, he streamed for 30 days straight, and today's the last day. And it'll just pop up on my feed, like on TikTok, and other people will just be reacting to this live, and I'll just be like, oh my god, interesting. That's pretty much it. And he was just streaming for about 30 days straight in a giant mansion somewhere. I have no idea where the fuck it is. And, yeah. That's pretty much it. I don't really know all the deets behind it. I'm probably gonna wait for like some fucking video essay to drop about it. Like, how this is the next whatever in streaming. Bloop, 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 bloop. And then I'll just be the vibe. Maybe not, though. I don't know, yo. We shall see. So he streamed while he was sleeping? Yeah. I don't know. I do know that when he was sleeping, I think every night was a bit different. Sometimes they had a dude, like the one that I saw was he had a drummer he had like a ball over his head that when he got a certain amount of subscribers, it would like cut whatever. And I think some people went to the hospital. I saw like some random shit about that. Um, his bed would like move. It was on a like a controller, so they could just wheel it around while he was sleeping and spin it. There was like fog, bubbles, weird shit like that. I don't know a lot about it, but he went ham with it. I was just like, oh, okay. That's quite a bit, bro. But he apparently, I don't know, apparently he says this is his last one. This is his third one, too. And it was really interesting. I don't know, I've never seen anyone do anything like it. And I don't think anyone else has either. It's actually pretty wild. Maybe in a good way. Who knows? Who knows? Who knows? But yeah, he did lots of live streaming. Which is crazy. I think he did some IRL stuff, which I don't know how people do IRL shit. I've always been afraid of that. Like now that I'm cycling out of certain aspects of my life or whatever, uh now I'm like getting new jobs and everything. I'm just not talking about anything I do online until after it's done. Like the Crawford stuff I was doing, or sometimes if I go to like events like I don't know. And I'm not even like big or whatever, so I don't know how people fucking do that. I've always been weird about it on stream. George says so. Folks do watch while he's asleep. Yeah, yeah. He has like lots of stuff happening. Like once he hits certain goals or whatever, he has people that are awake that are interacting with chat. So like I have no idea, but once he hit like a certain benchmark for subscribers or whatever, or someone gifted so many subs or something like that, he would have like a drummer play a song, or there'd be like a guitarist, or like he would have a wall of speakers behind his bed. I think I saw that too. I don't know if they played or anything. Like I said, I didn't really watch it, but I would see it pop up every once in a while, and I'd be like, oh, oh, you know? That was pretty much it for me. I finished my bracelet. Makes me feel young again, doing stuff like that. Put all the old ones away. All my threads. Threads. Yeah. I don't know. I don't really know what else to say. I guess it's interesting. You are young. Well, I mean, like when I was young, I used to like when I would go to blind camps and that sort of thing, I would make bracelets with the campers. And that would be my fun time. Daria says, OMG is acceptable EU hours, Posey. I know! Aren't you proud of me? Aren't you proud of me? It'll get better. It'll get better, I swear. I think I'm gonna have to figure out my schedule, but I might be able to start streaming a bit sooner. Maybe like, I don't know when, mid-October or something. Ugh, But then I'm gonna stream longer, so I have to be sure that I'm like prepared for that in my day. Because it'll be so hard for me to leave before I eat or whatever. Whatever. Any hoozles. I need to switch to color. You should be proud of me. Darius! I did more research on fucking Blair, and he's such a little twat. Like, I fucking hate him. Oh my god, he's crazy. And they're like, let's have him be in charge. And honestly, it feels a little unreal, you know? It's just like, is this really happening right now? And people are like, yay! And I'm just like, oh my god. Oh, George, thank you. That's very sweet. You better say thank you, Darius. They saw Josie start with clause 4. Yo, you test my patience. Okay. Okay. Thanks, George. I was gonna sub anyways, but still very much appreciated. Aw, thank you. Thank you. You guys are so sweet. I will have more sub stuff soon. I have like everything planned out, okay? You guys kind of expedited it a bit. Y'all are like, do the stuff, and I'm like, fuck! I was gonna do this like 2 months from now. But it's fine. Everything's fine. I'm good. I feel so free. I'm free. Free falling. Oh, I got more stickers. They're so cute. I collect a lot of stickers, by the way. This is kind of where you need to start to understand Blair. I watched 3 video essays about him today. In between all of the fucking Trump press reviews. Oh my god. Fucking, I woke up. And immediately when I woke up, there was like, and I was getting ready to go do my day stuff or whatever, because I had like a thing I had to go to. As I was doing my work or whatever, I was listening to fucking Pete Hegseth and Trump talk about like the whole military thing that was going down, and my brain was just melting. I was like, are you fucking serious? Is this real life right now? Like, what the hell? None of them mentioned him changing the Labor Party constitution. I heard that, like, we can watch one video about it. I think that'll be interesting. But, we can probably do that in, like, a couple minutes. I think that'd be good. Like, maybe in the middle. Because what is it with, like, the world prepping for war right now? Like, what other fucking country? 1 euro is, calling. Uh, yeah. So didn't, was it Denmark? Let's see. Mm. Wait. Yeah. So Denmark, it was on the 28th, called up a couple hundred, well, several hundred, uh, soldiers from the Danish Reserve Army to active duty. And it was because there was lots of weird drone activity near airports and stuff by Denmark, and they made it so people can't like fly their own private drones anymore. It's kind of freaking interesting. Here's a link to that. It's fucking crazy. This is just one of the first links that I saw. Daria says, we're prepping for a war with Russia a year after Venezuela. Middle East is Middle Easting, and there's probably still some stuff with China. It's a global clusterfuck. I know. I fucking know. And the whole, like, no one's been talking about what's going on in Denmark. I just saw, like, a random, because I keep up with that sort of thing, and I'm just like, wait, what the fuck? And that was on Monday. And it was more and more Russian drones, because they were talking about how Russian drones were popping up not just in, you know, not just near Ukraine, but in other countries. And I was like, wait, what? And then as I saw it, I was like, oh fuck, Denmark's doing it shit. And I was like, oh shit, they're prepping a lot more. Let's see. Mr. Meow says, earlier this year my flight was grounded in Germany because of drone activity. Damn. It's getting really intense in Europe. And I guess you guys are very clustered to get like together. Doris says, really, it's obviously huge news here. No, here in the States, we don't like, at least from my personal perspective, and the people I discuss things with, we don't hear a lot about European news. Like, I'm one of the only people I know that actively does a lot of research into Middle Eastern, Asian, and European news. I'm really shitty with, like, Africa too, but I'm still, like, way ahead a lot of, like, most of the people I talk to about it. They get their news from me, and it's really fucking annoying. Because they're like, Josie, why did you know about this? And I'm just like, tweaking. I'm just like, this was news like 3 months ago. But I'm not like a commentator. So. Darius says there hasn't been this much interest in Shutdown since Beowulf. Bruh. But yeah, no, it hasn't been something that people have been talking about much. That with like Pete Hegseth being like, we need to prepare for war. The U.S. military industrial complex is made for war. We're a war machine. And him diving like balls deep into that has been fucking wild. Wild. And he literally stated that he's okay with instructors and higher ups like literally fucking beating new recruits and lower military personnel. He's like, do whatever you gotta do. So many fucking lawsuits are gonna happen if that doesn't go checked. Like, if that goes unchecked, it's gonna be a huge, not even a huge thing. It's just expected to be a clusterfuck. And it all depends on whether or not higher ups are actually just gonna revert and try to be aggressive again, because he literally said, if you don't want to follow through with it, you should just leave, which is fucking crazy. Daria says, yeah, Africa and Asian stuff is mostly a mystery to me. I've seen recently the Christian nationalists are starting to promote some stuff in Nigeria. Oh my god. Nigeria is a fucking clusterfuck. Northern Nigeria is very Muslim, and southern Nigeria is very Christian. Northern Nigeria struggles with a lot of poverty, and southern Nigeria doesn't. I know a lot about this because I know some Nigerians, and we talk about it sometimes. And they send a lot of stuff back home, and their family lives in Central. And some of their family is Muslim, and other parts of their family is very Christian. And they basically had to escape Nigeria and come here to the States because of how, like, everyone's just butting heads in the middle. So that happening is not even a surprise to me. I'll have to ask them if there's any updates, though. But yeah, it's kind of wild. Again. But also, there's been a lot of, like, butting heads with northern and southern Nigeria for a while. Impressive. Do you know the difference between Yoruba, Igbo, tribes, etc.? Not really. I'm not super familiar with the tribal stuff. I do know a little bit about their economy, but not a lot. Not a lot. It's something that I would just be able to recite to you exactly what he told me, which is not as much stuff as you'd think, because we were talking about, you know, other things. Darius says, my left back is from Nigeria, and when he's not complaining about the cold, he tells me a lot of this stuff. Yeah, I don't know as much about the tribes. I do really like their food. I think I made a Nigerian dish on stream. It had like shrimp, beef, and it was like a stew-based thing. And I did that for one of the meals, and it was really good. Although I'm not really into shrimp though. It's a texture thing. Shrimp and mussels, it's like, I do like oysters though. Aphrodisiac. I'm kidding. Hi, Schmicky. Hello. I don't have my water either. I'm gonna have to go get it soon. Also, do you want to see what I had to get for school? A copy of the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence. It's a hardcover, bitch. I have no idea who the fuck John Meckham is, though. It's a Pulitzer Prize winner, apparently. But yeah. The introduction is like, I don't know, like a sixth of the book. Are those free? No. I had to spend like $20 on it. So they talk about the Declaration of Independence, all that sort of thing. It has like all of the faux signatures. Ah, yes, but oh dear. Okay, anyways. I haven't read it yet. I have to read all of it. We the people of the United States. Do you know that song? Is it like school rock or something? In order to form a more perfect union, establish internal message, tranquility. Oh god. Anyways, I'll stop. Mr. Meow says, my favorite version of the Constitution is the one that's side by side with the Confederate one. Hey, yo. That's kind of wild, bro, but okay. Yeah, I think like 3 legal books now. I have to get this, and then I have a legalese book. So, because I do a lot of stuff like reading into legal things, I have this fucking honker. It's a manual on legal style. And I got the print one because it's actually kind of wild. I think there's an updated, there might not be like an updated prostrate versus prostrate, jealous, envious, zealous. There's a lot of like wording, troublesome, stuffy words in legalese, grammar, verbs, even punctuation's really fucking weird. Which it's actually been really nice. But now I have to like write essays in it, so we have to like, copy like legalese. And the more I write in like a lawyer-esque fashion or fashion, like a legal fashion, the more people think what I'm saying is AI. So that's fun. Love that for me. Mr. Meow says you get to compare them word for word as well. Yeah. I think oh man, it'll be interesting to see what happens next. Daria says, surely that's not the only red book you have, bro. It actually, I don't have like any paperbacks of like a manifesto, like the Communist Manifesto of Marx, or anything like that. Shmiki says, so there's no way the Flotilla is making it right. Like Israel just does not care about them humans that aren't them anymore and publicly admits it. I think they said that they're like Hamas or something. They're actually trying so hard to claim that they're part of like a terrorist organization or whatever. It's crazy. I think they're about like 7 or so hours away, something like that. I just posted the live tracker from Reuters on Discord. Yes, I can. God, I'm ADHD as fuck today. I actually have ADHD, y'all. It's not me being like dumb. Executive dysfunction goes hard sometimes. But okay, wait, hold up. There we go. There we go. I'll pop up the link so you guys can keep track too. I would have it like just in the side, but I don't want to do that. It's just a lot of work. And that would be for another day. Let's see. Mickey says, I thought they weren't going to go all the way with them. Yeah, it won't make it because it's got the French and Spanish navies leading it. I don't know, man. I don't know. We'll have to see how it goes. Mickey says, I thought they were going to go all the way with them. Are we witnessing this World War III spark? Honestly, if we were to go back in time, we would have said that it started already. And personally, I believe that World War III is not going to be the same as like other warfare that we've seen. I don't think it's going to be as hands-on. Because if it were to be, it's just going to escalate and escalate further. Or they're just going to be like, oh, oopsies. Because we all have nukes, you know? And nukes are basically like a don't fucking touch me player thing. But, yeah, people are just going to keep pushing for it. Colonialization never really ends. Let's see. Shmiki says World War III will be economical and communicative. I guess so. Mr. Meow says, I think your stream will go very fast today. How so? What is that supposed to mean? Also, I need to get my sody pop. Sody pop. Technically, how am I supposed to live without my bubble water? I need my bubble water, bitches. Oh my god. That's important. Oh, why does that sound like a threat? I know, that's what I was saying. Because you're wearing a shirt with a speed bit. Bro, mass aerodynamic for my titties. Must be maximum aero. Okay, I'll be right back. Yo! Okay, I'm back. Yeah, Future War is all drones and much fewer people, yeah. Yeah, also, it's pretty much going to be primarily proxy wars and stuff. Especially between larger powers. Otherwise, ooh. Also, the hammock on, the Grande Blue. I want a boat hammock. I love hammocks. Like, boat hammocks are so nice. You want to see me like chilling, I'm always going to be in a hammock and with some water like right over. So, like, you can get like these poles that you put in the sand or like right next to like right over the water so the waves kind of get close to you during high tide, like right under you. Oh, so good. Let's see. Schmicky says the front line now is only determined by how deep and stealthy a bomb drone can get. Fair. Darius says our cabinet has been briefed. Apparently, we are actively at war with Russia and it's cyber war. The UK? Get a gaming hammock. I literally have 5 hammocks. I'm not even joking with you. I have so many. I have, oh, my favorite one is a palm tree one. I got it when I was in LA. And I've used it for a really long time. I like it a lot. I have a geometric one that's like a backup. I have a tie-dye one. There's one that Andrew got from Costa Rica. And then I have another one somewhere. Don't know where it is. But they're really fun. Actually, I think I might have given the tie-dye one away. Anyways. Vicky says, did you see that ship with, which happened to have all Russian crewmen dragging its anchor and breaking the undersea cables? Oh yeah, that shit's gonna happen a lot more. That was, like, closer to Russia, up north, right? Oh, actually, wait, what country went dark? Was it, do you remember the country that, like, went dark for a bit? Was it Portugal, or was it, I think it was Portugal, right? Where they lost internet for a while?
That happens a lot.
Well, no. It's like where Russia like dragged its anchor.
Oh, they cut an
Tonga.
undersea cable.
Yeah.
I don't know, because Russia's done that a few times.
Yeah, Russia has done that a few times. Yeah, okay. There's a bunch of power outages across Europe, yeah. Y'all don't have good green energy. I cry for you. Oh, you mean the Iberian power cut? It was Portugal and Spain. Fucking knew it. I remember, because one of you guys is Portuguese. Also, I was doing more research today about colonialization with like Portugal and stuff, and they actually went pretty fucking hard. Like, really fucking hard. Like, they were way, way more into colonialization than Spain or the UK ever was. At least for a little while. But they didn't really have, you know, whatever. That's a whole different conversation. Mickey says, I know Finland was recepted. And Daria says, Tonga lost their cables for a bit and had literally no internet. Ooh, it'll happen in America and people aren't gonna know what the fuck to do. Why is Alma dark? Oh, okay, it's good. Darius says, yeah, we had to blockade Brazil once because the Portuguese were taking a piss after we said no more slavery. Yeah. Since there's a lot of Brazilians here in chat, I've been doing more research on Brazil, and holy crap, Brazil's history is wild. Wild, wild, wild. Oh man, the more research I do, the more I'm like, holy fuck. I sometimes sit here and I'm like, how is the world functional? You know, that's what today was like for me. Because I was low-key like working and stuff. I had my headphones in and I had my hair like covering it, or I wear like a hat so people don't really notice that I had my headphones in, and I just hide from people. Um and I was just it was like back to back to back pressers, and like the government might shut down and shit. Oh my god. Mr. Meow says that's why I keep saying Brazil is awesome. In what context? Daria says, have you researched why 1970 World Cup winning team was so detrimental to the junta? No. No. I want you to know, I respect football. I respect the fuck out of football. And I understand that it is so important. But I want you to know, I would rather watch people beat the shit out of each other than watch soccer sometimes. Okay, but to be fair, I enjoy watching hockey, but I don't keep up with hockey. I enjoy watching boxing, but I don't really keep up with it, you know? And like, I like a lot of sports. I don't like football though, because it's just like CTE Central, and when people get like that much brain damage, I don't know. I get concerned. Schmicky says the power move is having the headphones in so people don't bother you, and then also having them in hearing aid mode so you can snoop on everyone's combo. Yo, sometimes I don't even have anything playing. I just have them on like the hearing aid mode so I can hear everything around me. Because low key, especially when I'm in public, I don't want people to talk to me, but I also don't like, I can get really anxious sometimes, especially in large public spaces, and I like have panic attacks. Like, I'm not even joking with you. I have like really bad anxiety sometimes. So I'll just have it on transparency mode so I feel safer and I can like hear what's going on behind me a lot easier and stuff. Let's see. Mr. Meow says history, culture, and modern stuff too. Yeah. Brazil has a lot of interesting history. I think they had the Olympics there, and that was a huge, huge, like, that's when I first started learning about Brazil. Dara says, your American gypsy is not for you. Embrace Jose and you'll love it. So cursed. I don't even know what to say, yo. Shmiki says, I don't like the Olympics because swimming is secluded. I can't swim. You can't swim, yo? I love swimming. I actually love swimming. Like, I could do laps all the time. It's my preferred form of cardio. If I had a pool that was long and maybe like a quarter of like, I don't know, because most like pools are like 50s. Sometimes you want like, sometimes they're 25s or whatever. Like most like public pools you go to, if you have laps or lap lanes, it's going to be 25. I would be okay with having like a 20, 15, you know? That'd be a good length for me. And then you could still, because if it's anything shorter than that, by the time you kick off the side and then you get like, you're just underwater and then like you're coming up to surface and then you break surface to like actually do your strokes, you only get to do like 2 strokes. And that's like the most annoying fucking thing. So then you have to like go and you have to like stop on the wall and then you have to go again. It's just like, and at that point, you just go underwater. Like, why even do laps? Just go underwater. Anyways, Shut the fuck up, Schmicky. Jesus. Schmicky says, I took swimming lessons for like 5 years as a kid, and everyone always moved on except for me. That's okay. I was a coach, and I also taught like private lessons and stuff. And there were lots of kids where they would just like really struggle. Like a lot. You good? But there were a couple kids that I was teaching that really struggled. But I primarily like I would do like private lessons, and I had a lot of disabled kids. So one kid that I was teaching, he had no collarbones, and that little fucking shit was so fast for no fucking reason. Because everyone was like, oh, he's gonna be really bad. Josie, you're good with all the disabled kids. Here you go. And I'd just be like, okay, I don't know how I'm supposed to teach someone who doesn't have collar. Literally fine. Literally fine. He was so fucking good for no reason. And I had to teach him like backstrokes because it was easier and everything. He obviously couldn't do fly or whatever, but yeah. Oh, Ali says hi. Hola. Hola, Stinky. Are you Stinky boy? Whoa, 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 whoa. Wait, here he is. Come here, Stinky. He's such a little asshole. Yes, you are. I still have to give him a bath. I'm gonna wait until I have like a day off. And then I'm going to give him a bath because I have to groom him and Sandy and do the bath. And it's easier if I just do all the pets all at once. Otherwise, it's, yeah, I know, I'm petting you still. Don't worry. Otherwise, it can get really overwhelming. And the woozles. What else y'all want to Charlie about? I just have to, like, pat him. He's one of those dogs where you just, like, aggressively pat him and he's happy. Oh, also, I finished my bracelet. Yay. I have another one I'm working on that's kind of hard. So what's new in the news? Ah, oh my god. Are you shit posting? There's a lot of shit happening, bro. Yeah, there's so much stuff happening all the time. My friends send me a lot of random stuff too. George says, shut down. The Democrat senators better get their shit together and vote to keep the government open tonight. It ain't gonna happen. It ain't gonna happen. I honestly wouldn't either. Like, if I were the Democrats, I would not concede to any of it right now either. Mr. Mouse says, haven't checked the news since last week. Shutdown? Oh, yeah. Basically, the reason why I'm like, oh, yeah, the Democrats definitely should not, like, concede to anything and agree to what's going on. Mr. Mouse says, shut it down. Shut it all down. No, it's because when the Democrats are majority in the House or whatever, they try to have a compromise. And I watched the whole presser that was going on today with Schumer or whatever. But long story short, they're talking about how the Republicans didn't even talk to them to try to negotiate a terms of a deal. They just said, oh, we're doing this, and this is what has to go. And they had zero communications. And this is something that Republicans have been doing more and more. So if the Democrats don't like put their foot down and be like, hey, like you need to stop this, and we actually have to compromise on stuff like this, it kind of ruins the illusion in some aspects of bipartisanship. Darius says, isn't he able to fire loads of people if it shows up? He was gonna do it anyways. Like if anything happens, like I'll send the link of the presser. I already like. Oh my god. It wasn't super long. Yeah, but here you go. But you guys can go ahead and take a peek. Yeah, if you want to watch it in like your spare time. But long story short, they're mentioning how what Trump has been saying about a lot of stuff is most definitely a lie. Like them giving aid to or like healthcare to illegal immigrants. That's not something that exists. The fact that there's no like compromise about anything, like they weren't even approached with what would the Democrats like to have anything, like, any say in what's going on or whatever, that is just fucking non-existent. And it's something that I believe hasn't really happened a lot in any of the history of Congress, where this sort of thing just, oh, yeah. So basically, since they can't agree on terms of everything, they're just like, nope. So nothing can go on if they just don't agree to anything, because that's when the time limit expires. Dari says there's also some hubbub about comedians going to the Saudi Arabian Comedy Club. Bro, I know. I've been so quiet about this because it's fucking dirty, yo. Yeah. It's just, it's not, let's see, who's all, list of comedians for going to Saudi Arabia. Let's see. Here's link. We talked about this a couple weeks ago, when we got that Saudi chatter, because sometimes we get, Arab chatters and stuff like that. Let's see. Mr. Meow says, I think Saudi Arabia finished executing all their pro-democracy demonstrators, so it's a clean slate now for rebuilding regulations. No comment. Dari says, Pete Davidson and Chappelle are the two most famous, I think. There's a lot of other ones, like people who I'm actually low-key really disappointed that they decided to participate. Mo Amer, Aziz Ansari, Wayne Brady, Hannibal Buress, Bill Burr. I'm really sad about Bill Burr doing it. Jimmy Carr, Dave Chappelle, Louis C.K., Whitney Cummings. I'm so fucking disappointed in Whitney Cummings right now. I don't like Whitney Cummings. It's not like I'm not like super into her, but she's been whatever. Kevin Hart is doing it. Gabriel Iglesias is also doing it. Ben Hart, Zondergarg, Omid Djali, Jim Jeffries, Jimion Majabroni, Jessica Kirsten. Bobby Lee is going. I'm actually really sad that Bobby Lee is going. If y'all don't know, I worked at a comedy club for a while, and I was in the industry for a little bit. I did some stand-up, not a lot. I wasn't like super good at it, but I like got really, really, really invested in the comedy culture, and my friends had a pretty okay like podcast. It did okay and that sort of thing. Omid Djali is by far the biggest surprise to me. I know. Yo, it's like Mark Norman doing it is like also pretty surprising to me. It's just, it's so sad. Ugh. Mark Norman, Russell Peters, Jeff Ross, Sugar Sammy, Andrew Santino, Andrew Schultz for sure, Tom Segura. I'm disappointed that Tom Segura is doing it too. Like, all these people, I'm so, like, disappointed in them doing it. And I'm just like, it's just sad. Oh, why don't, you don't think this will normalize ties? I thought you were quite pro-Saudi. I'm not necessarily pro-Saudi. You don't understand. Like, me getting invested in, like, Gulf stuff, Saudi dialect, and that sort of thing doesn't necessarily mean that, like, I'm pro-Saudi. I'm very much invested in the culture, and I understand that they have a lot more power and control over a shit ton of stuff in the Gulf, as well as, like, they have like pretty much power over Mecca and everything. So there's lots of power that Saudi Arabia has. And it would be ignorant of me to ignore that power. So when I was also like trying to learn Arabic and stuff like that and trying to figure out what dialect I really wanted to focus on, I chose Gulf dialect, specifically Saudi dialect. One, because it's easiest for most people to understand, because the accent is very like plain Jane. Two, they're in the news constantly. There's plenty of Saudi media out there for me to build up my understanding off of. Three, they're expanding drastically and they're modernizing a lot faster than some of the other Gulf nations. And in a way where, yes, they do take people's passports and stuff, but they're not nearly as bad as like the UAE in a lot of aspects. So for me, I was very, very calculated in choosing Saudi dialect and getting more invested in that aspect of things. But that is for very specific reasons. Also, it's very similar to the Levantine dialect, which is something that I've been studying as well. I'm not super fluent yet. Well, let's see. Mr. Meow says, yeah, I feel like we have no choice but to embrace them the way they are, otherwise they'll learn again. They'll lean against us. They're already leaning against us. What do you mean? Saudi Arabia wants to, at least a lot of the people in charge want to milk a lot of stuff from the West. I also want to mention that I think they purchased Epic Games. I think it was Epic Games, right? Like a lot of the Saudi princes or leaders did. Saudi Arabia. Yeah, CEO of Epic Games. Wait. No. Epic Games is really close ties with Saudi Arabia. What games did Saudi buy? Madden, NFL, EA Sports, The Sims, and Battlefield. Those are the ones. But yeah, they have a really, really big Fortnite scene there too. Like, the first-person shooters go crazy in the Gulf. Let's see. Daria says, I'm not a huge fan of them centralizing boxing in Saudi. I think they've done the same with tennis and they've tried with football, but comedy doesn't seem a natural partner. It does. It makes sense. We talked about this a couple weeks ago. When we had out here, and also some other chatters that are Saudi that come in from time to time. Saudi Arabia is really trying to upgrade their infrastructure and like Maraya. Here's they're really building out a lot more event venues, that sort of thing. We were talking about that a lot. They have something on the coast. There's just lots of stuff there, and they're becoming more alcohol friendly and etc. etc. Let's see. Dario says since 2010, Saudi has been one of the most reliable trading partners of the West. Yes. Epic is a Tencent, I think. Is Tencent, I think. Are they? I don't think they are. That's why the guy had to stop calling him Empire State real fast. Yeah, Biden. Hi, Type 2. Daria says MBS did chop that guy up, Kadashi or something. He was recorded for a while. I am not sure about that one. I don't know. Oh, no, I don't know. Yeah, no. Me learning more about, like, that was my word than just that. I don't know. Tencent owns about 40% of Epic. Yeah. I know that they have a lot of, like, ownership in a lot of the gaming spaces. But I don't know what games that they have the ownership or a lot of, like, dominance over, so I'm not really going to pretend to know either. The events I know it's been a crazy day, Type 2. I'm losing my mind. So you don't know about Jamal Khashoggi? You spelled his name so fucking wrong. Oh man. Yeah, there's lots of stuff that's happened in Saudi Arabia. And I'm not even gonna pretend that there was like I'm just not even yeah, you had to Google it. Yeah, he was assassinated and yeah. Yes, because he was more progressive. I know. I know. Yeah, it's Saudi Arabia is I would not fuck with the Saudis. Like I would not fuck with anything they have going on or whatever. But it is advantageous to know the language and to understand what's coming next because they do have a lot of power in a lot of the cultural communities, especially the people who need to do their Hajj. Daria says he was chopped up with a chainsaw man. That's fucking outrageous. I really don't know a lot about it, but I know that he went to like Turkey and there's like a huge thing because the Saudis and like Turkey are more friendly, which is ironic considering the history, but I'm not going to say a lot about that. Daria says, I still live relatively close to Cambridge and they snatched some escaped princess off the street there once. Yeah. All I'm saying is that Saudi Arabia is really trying to change their public image and they're trying to attract more Westerners, just like most of the Gulf states are too. Hi, Oliva. Hello, baby. Hi, stinky butt. And that's not me trying to be like naive or like, oh, blah, 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 but they really are. And we'll see if they can like turn shit around and not be as. But like I said before, they'll try to get as much as they can out of the West for as long as they can. Yeah, they've calmed down a lot. Well, yeah, because they have to. They're opening their. Like, they have to be a lot more Western friendly for lots and lots and lots of different reasons. Like, lots of different reasons. And they have bigger cities that are starting to become more Western Rome. They're starting to have more power plays in the West and just everything. And if they want to keep that shit up and stay on pace with what they're doing, they really need to get involved in tourism. If you want to get more involved in tourism, you have to allow the things that you didn't. They let Qatar. I know in American English we always say Qatar. So like I don't know. I'm just gonna say that. They let him get too far ahead in those aspects, and now they need to play the same game. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And the Saudis are really struggling to get people to go there and go to their schools. I was looking at their educational Qatar. Yes, it's Qatar. Or Qatar. Because you're not supposed to use a hard K, like a hard K with it. It's not K. It's supposed to be like Qatar, something like that. I don't know. I have like a Western accent, so it's never gonna be right with me. Oh, it's so bad. All of my Arabic speaking like students and friends are just like, girl, and I'm just like, marhab. Anyways, but yeah. Capable hell. Capable hell. Anyways, I'm gonna stop. Daria says, yeah, I'll come here. We've been educating the Middle East leaders for hundreds of years. You need to be educated or jailed by the British to have any credibility. Yes and no. Technically, modern day medicine did come from like the Middle East. And hygiene practices and stuff like that was very, very inspired by like Middle Eastern culture and Muslim culture because hygiene is a big part of like religious practices and stuff like that. It's been like that for a really long time, ever since the origins. But for a really, really long time in history, you would have to learn Arabic and go to a Arabic country in order to learn how to practice like more modern medicine. And to the extent that there are some, I think there's like a special program in a country, maybe it's like Sweden or something like that, where they have like an award for like the first Muslim nurse. I think she was like one of I think she followed, like, she hung out with Muhammad a lot, and it's like that award or something like that, or she was one of Muhammad's wives. I don't know. But yeah, no, a lot of knowledge actually started in the Middle East, and then yeah. No, not modern medicine, Josie, like medieval ones for sure, but not since germ theory. No, you gotta check yourself, bro. Like, you do gotta check yourself. Like, um, uh, it was definitely during the Islamic Golden Age, which was when, up until like the like kind of well into the 13th century. I'm double checking my dates here. But yeah, but it went a lot further than that when it came to, uh, yeah. Like, it went all the way into the 16th century with Andreas Vesalius began conducting systematic human dissections, which challenged previous anatomical understandings and established a new empirical approach to medicine. This laid groundwork for the modern scientific and medical advancements. Yeah, no, like, the reason why we have medicine the way that we do nowadays is because of Islam and a lot of the people there and what it teaches. 1850 onwards, that's like within the past 200 years. Yeah. He was born in Brussels and that sort of thing. That's when it happened. But people used to, all the way, like, very, very long ago, people would have to travel all the way down to the Middle East in order to, like, learn medicinal things. And then it became super taboo because the church was like, no, God has to, like, heal your ailments, and then there's like a regression, and then blah blah blah. Johnson and cholera. Yeah. Anyways, but I do think that we're both kind of on the same page. I'm not gonna say now. But yeah, that's the dude. He like started doing a lot more stuff, and then blah 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 blah. Blah blah blah. I haven't done a lot of like research into it in like a while, but I could definitely dive more into it another day. I would just have to prepare more. Doris says, it's very interesting to me that all religious texts have a great focus on bodily purification and animal eating. Some do, some don't. Doris says, it definitely serves a practical purpose. It can, but this is a whole different tangent, and this is like something that I'm not going to dive super deep into at all, because we'd be here for a while. But yeah. Yeah, Mr. Meow says, I've talked to many people who've worked there, even the good experiences had a few mess up stories, yeah. I don't know. It's but yeah, just so you guys know, a lot of like our history is tied to Islam, and it's been really whitewashed. Like super whitewashed. Like from like philosophers to medicinal workers to, the list goes on and on. And I think math came from like the Arab nations and stuff like that too. I don't know. It's just people are like algebra, yeah. So I don't know. I think a lot of people just give a lot of shit like a bad rap, and there's lots of really cool history there. That's why eventually I'm going to go to a lot of those countries and do some stuff there, because I want to see it all like from the source, because it's just so fucking cool. Like, it's just so cool to me. And I don't know. I think the West likes to think that we came up with everything, which we absolutely didn't. Just don't go there alone. Oh my god. Oh my god. I think it's kind of disappointing when Westerners are always like, oh, you shouldn't go there, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that. But if you've never been there, how could you, like, tell me what I should and shouldn't do there? You know? Daria says, one of the best things that happened was when Al-Farabi discovered Aristotle, and we managed to break the incomprehensible hold Plato had till then. Yeah. Neoplatonism is like super fascinating to me. I've talked about it so much. So much. But it influenced a lot of like Islamic schools of thought too. Very, very very, very interesting. Very fascinating. I've talked about it a lot on stream. It's a whole different world and realm. Plato or Plotinus or whatever, Plotinus, I don't know. Which came after Plato. Had a lot of influence on that time period. Aristotle had some, but not as much as Plato influenced basically all religions. Yes and no. It's like the except for like Zoro like whatever, Zoroastrianism, Zoro like whatever, that came before a lot of like Judaism, Christianity, the Abrahamic religions, the paganistic like Arab religions back then were really interesting. I wish we had like our Middle Eastern titles in, because when we did before, it was really fun to go over all this because they were like all the deets. We go through phases. Sometimes we have like Europeans, sometimes we have South Americans, sometimes we have North Africans, and sometimes we have our Arab traders. And it's just, Aristotle was kind of irrelevant in the 850s when he was rediscovered. Yeah, he was, people didn't really like a lot of the stuff that he said, which valid, because Aristotle was kind of like when the standard of like I'm not even gonna dive super deep into it. Like God was still a big fixture of like Aristotle stuff, but not nearly as much as like Plato and Plotinus and so on and so forth, all the people after him. It's like a whole different thing. But yeah. How do we even get to this? First we're talking about Saudi Arabia, and then we're talking about like fucking all that shit. But yeah, I will defend it like so much more than you guys think I will. But it's mainly because there's so much that we can learn from it. And I think a lot of what has happened with colonialization of those areas specifically is that Westerners will take credit for a lot of the stuff that originated there, even though it didn't. And we're not taught about it either. You have to learn about it like outside of the traditional education system. Daria said Aristotle was concerned with integrating a material world. Plato is much more metaphysical, so the trends at the time reflected them. Kind of, yeah. Kind of. Honestly, hmm, I don't know. There's lots that go into it. Yeah, kind of. Well, because there were plenty of people back then who like weren't like super into it, but all we have is what's preserved, you know? And usually what's preserved is the is from the areas where there hasn't been a lot of like destruction or war or turmoil and stuff like that. There's so much in history that's been lost for a while. And we're still finding it. That's why I always say kind of. When it comes to history that far back, so much of it's lost, yo. Hmm. Darius says philosophy had, of course, still the argument between Plato and Aristotle. Your perception of philosophy is. Well, that's a whole nother discussion. very different perspectives on all that, just so you know. The nature of reality and nature of ethics. Yeah, I don't think that's necessarily like an argument between the two. I think they're both trying to have two different conversations about the same thing. I don't know. My idea is that, like, maybe neither one of them is right. That's the core argument they had. Kind of. I feel like I'm rage baiting you a bit. This is kind of fun. Plato was pretty precise about a lot of stuff, but vague about the things that not Plato, Aristotle dove deeper into. Like, both of them were pretty vague about what the other one dove more deep into. Fair enough. I like philosophy, so you can rage bait. Yeah. If, not cold. Ah, shit. What was his name? One of you guys was, like, super into it. We talked about it for, like, 3 weeks. It's fucking crazy. IMO. I don't dive super deep into it all the time. It's more of something where it's like, we don't really have to know. But I'm very, very invested in Neoplatonism. I like how weird it is. I don't know. I really want to go to, like, Jordan and Saudi Arabia and parts of, like, Egypt and that sort of thing. Learn more. What's the difference between Neoplatonism and Platonism? Oh, lots of things. Like, Platonism doesn't go as deep into, like, the religious aspect of things, you know, like oneness. It does a little bit, but not as much as Neoplatonism. Neoplatonism, super into oneness, like super duper into oneness. It's very fascinating. Like, I assume it deals with the same concepts of you can't trust your senses, ideal forms, and secondary worlds, etc. The thing is Neoplatonism doesn't necessarily believe for there to be a secondary world. It's like it can be like a time thing, depending on how you perceive it. Like, Neoplatonism is so fascinating because there is no, like, set perspective for it, because you can consume the information, have a slightly altered perspective of it than someone else next to you. It's like, that's why it's very, not really controversial, but it was really influential at the time. Platonism was very, like, vague about, like, ascension and that sort of thing. It's more focused in platonic relationships, the literal, not used meaning. No. Neoplatonism, there's lots of different aspects of it, but how do I fucking describe this? Maybe I'll do a fucking bad job of it. I don't fucking know. The long story short, Neoplatonism deals with the idea of, like, ascension of self, kind of in a similar way to like Taoism, some aspects of Buddhism. You'll also see a lot of these aspects in Hinduism, that sort of thing. So, like, where there is the place where you can see this the most in modern day, like, religious philosophy would be I would say, like, the New Age spirituality movement, where people talk about, like, ascending your higher self and that sort of thing. So basically, within Neoplatonism, there's different aspects of your sense of self, and each one is increasingly better. And as you go through different levels of, for lack of better terms, to not make it super complicated, enlightenment, you reach that next level. So at the very topmost level, which is like your pure enlightenment, that's when you're the most connected with not only yourself, but the world around you. Because you can only perceive the world from yourself. It gets really complicated, by the way. But the idea of Neoplatonism, for the most part, is that you technically are only connected to the world around you from the extent of your own personal senses. So when you are self-actualized-ish, you can go through lots of different meditative processes and that sort of thing to be fully connected to God, which this is argued, mass debated, depending on the philosopher you're discussing this with or whatever. But some people believe that there is a higher deity that you can connect with, and that's how you connect with everything. And other people who interpret it view it to be the highest deity that you have is the, like, yourself that has already experienced your entire life and your entire existence. And if you can connect with that, you can get, like, more in tune with, like, whatever is going to happen next. Like, you just always know what's going to happen next. And once you make that connection, it's like a curse of some sorts, because you will always kind of know, like, there will always be foreshadowing for the next events in your life, and there's no surprises. Like, you just know what's going to happen. So some people believe it to be that way. Some people believe it to be like actual God. That's why it had a very, very heavy influence on a lot of spiritual practices within the beginning stages of Christianity, as well as Islamic schools of thought and that sort of thing. Right, like hierarchical stuff of Freud and probably Scientology, no. But I hope that kind of like made sense to you. But a lot of aspects of Neoplatonism, because of its history with like Christianity in its beginning stages, Islamic schools of thought, and so on and so forth. Yeah, I'm talking about Plotinus. Yeah. No. I'm talking about Neoplatonism, like Plotinus. Yes. I'm very, very, very interested and invested in that. That is like my favorite thing. One of them. I'm not going to tell you all my favorites, though. I have my little secrets. But yeah, it's very fascinating to me. And it's influenced stuff even to this day. To the extent where spiritual practitioners in New Age spirituality, even the ones that helped advise Ronald Reagan and his family or whatever, because they were very into like astrology and that sort of thing. It was kind of fucking crazy. That's a whole different thing that we can discuss later. But yeah, long story short, a lot of people who are into that realm of things are very, very heavily invested in like Plotinus, Neoplatonism, and stuff like that, because it is the beginning of modern day religiosity and organized, well, not really organized religion, but every framework can kind of go back to it. People say that it's like Hinduism mixed with Abrahamic religions, mixed with like Wicca and that sort of thing all together. I suspect you love good moral relativists, so Westmark would be my guess. I actually get pretty bored with philosophers, you know? Because it's like, I want to understand how you think, but I'm not going to follow how you think, you know? I like to see how other people perceive the world around you and around them. But, like, I'm not going to really, like, alter my perception of the world unless you can give me a good enough argument. And a lot of people, philosophers, they don't really try to approach their work with that, oh, I want to defend what I'm doing. They normally approach it with, like, oh, this is how it is. This is how I think it is. And I don't like that. I think a lot of philosophers are inherently weak if they don't actively entertain those arguments. I think they're boring. Like Jordan Peterson. Like, he doesn't actually have, like, educated conversations where he dives deep into why he believes what he believes. He just circles. And he kind of like tries to get like gotcha segments on certain people, and it's so boring. And I'm just like, dude, I wouldn't trust you with like jack shit because you can't even tell me what you think and why you think it. Or you can't even tell me what altered your perspective in the first place. I just view it to be like weak as shit. Whatever. But yeah. So I don't really like a lot of modern day philosophers because they just say it is a certain way, but they never challenge themselves, or at least a lot of them don't. Let's see. You kind of have the ideas of the world, then the nature of how you know stuff, and then ethics. I think ethics is still a good one to read about, even if some of them is batshit mental. Yeah, no, it's true. I would agree with that. Hmm. One thing I like to mention is that at the end of the day, you can only know so much, and your perception of the world is like confined to you. You can't perceive outside of yourself. It's not like you can go into someone else's body and perceive the world through their perspective. That's just not realistic. So I always take it all with a grain of salt. I'm just like, well, that's just, how it is. Flotilla's still going strong. People are starting to wake up. Darius says, like, metaphysics and epistemology are kind of done now for most people. Yeah. I mean, the thing is that, like, there's not really a true purpose in trying to discover it. If you can actually, like, I think personally, like, not even personally, I believe what would have an advantage for us in, like, understanding and studying how people perceive things would be a way for us to, like, program the mind to function the way another person's would for a set amount of time without it causing permanent damage to the psyche or the brain itself. I think that would be the only way for us to, like, test stuff like that. And that's really fascinating. And then that goes into territories of, like, can you just download memories from yourself into another person? This is what I think about, by the way. This is why I can't really smoke weed. Because I just sit there and I'm like, thinking too hard about this shit. It is fun dip. It's the blue rise. Bye, Siri. Yeah. Terry says, although having said that, is the universe a simulation? Is an idea that won't stop gripping people. Oh, I don't really care about that one. But I understand why people feel that way, though. Terry says, a lot of people think about that, Josie. Basically, our version of the ship of Theseus. I guess it can be. It's too subjective. I guess so. Yeah, but as whether or not you believe in, like, do we have anything is a simulation if you define it to be. That's fair. Like, sometimes I sit here and I think about how we can only see a certain amount of light wavelengths, Like, if we could see infrared, life would be very different. And that sort of thing. Like, technically, our brains have evolved to utilize the senses that we have currently available to us. And any other additions to our senses could, in theory, just, like, be evolved out of us. So the question is, do our bodies have the potential to perceive outside of what our current limitations are? And if so, how would we even be able to comprehend them? Daria says, I haven't read the arguments for it. It makes no difference to me. I'm just going to do my best regardless. Yeah, that's kind of my perspective on it, too. Sometimes it's interesting to think about what we're biologically programmed to do. Give me the blue pill in it, bruh. You fucking red pilled. No, red pill, blue pill. Mr. Meow says, my question is, do our brains have the ability to control 4 arms instead of just 2? It may become relevant in the future. I'd say yes. But then raises the other question. What is the limit to how much the brain can actually understand and function without it fracturing on its own, you know? Like, Dari says, I've got an important meeting on Wednesday, and then I'm going to the cinema on Friday. Blueville, please. I personally believe that, like, there is that limitations that your brain can have for processing, kind of like a computer, right? So each component of your computer works in tandem with the other to get something functioning. So, and this goes into like physical stuff. Like I said, I grew up in like a super medical household. I had to learn all of this stuff when I was in like elementary, middle school. But your body has a couple of different functions, right? Like you have your skeletal system, you have your muscular system, you have your cardiovascular system, which is like your heart and all the blood, and then you have your neurons, which is what helps you feel things, and it goes and it tells like all of your like your nerves and stuff like that. It tells your body what to do. That is what communicates. Your brainstem is what has like the basic functions, and you know, you could go like your prefrontal cortex, your amygdala, all that sort of thing, different parts of the brain, right? But the nerves that you have in your body are technically very, very similar to your neurons in the sense where they're all connected. It's like all parts of your brain, but in your body, in a sense. Like that's just a very simplified way of explaining it, right? Obviously, it's not exactly the same because your neurons have like the sheath and everything like that. It's literally shaped differently than like your actual nerve endings are, slightly different. And then there is like a, you know, it's like, yeah, it has like a little like baton-ish kind of shape. And basically like the chemicals low key just kind of like walk to the next thing and kind of disperse. Yeah, the myelinated sheath, yeah. And anyways, that's like a difference between like your nerves and your neurons and that sort of thing. There's lots of differences. Obviously, I would have to do a lot more research and like dive back deeper into it because I haven't taken an anatomy class in a while. And I was really, really invested into neuroscience when I was a kid. I wanted to be a neuroscientist so bad. Remember, when I was a kid, Ben Carson was my childhood hero. So I was fucking obsessed with neuroscience. It was crazy. But anyways, my question is, what limitations does your body have with access to processing information that you have? Because your computer, any device that takes in data and that sort of thing has limitations. And you can have so many different like nerves, right? But let's say your brain capacity stays the same. At what point do you max out in your ability to read nerves, and what would happen? So like if you added extra body parts to your arms or whatever, and maybe you had like 8 limbs and you have like a fucking collie moment, right? Like 8 arms. Maybe you would have all of your senses be dulled, like your nerves all be slightly dulled to compensate for it, but you wouldn't even be able to notice it because you wouldn't, like over time, you kind of forget what you were like beforehand. Kind of like, if you have ever had braces or you, like when you first get a haircut, you really notice it at first, but over time, it just feels natural and you can't remember what it felt like beforehand until you get another haircut or you get your braces off. So I wonder if it'd be something like that, where like your brain would think that it's running at its normal capacity because you would forget what it would be like to run at your standard operational capacity. Questions, you know? Like how focusing dulls the senses. That is true too. And then that like brings me into the next point of like maybe we are already to that point where because I worked with blind people growing up. That was like most of my childhood. I like did lots of events with blind people. I was with tons of blind people. And it was something that I would talk to them about all the time because people who were born blind would describe things differently than someone who became blind later in life. And because I was around them all the time, at like different camps and stuff, I would just ask people lots of questions because I wanted to understand what it was like. And the later on it would happen in life, the more people would talk about how they noticed that there was a change. Because when you're young, you eventually forget the older you get. But if you're older in life and it was like you've had most of your life experiencing all five senses, and then all of a sudden you lose a sense, like how does that change you? And also how you lose your vision is a whole nother thing. Are you fully blind, partial blind? I took all that into consideration when I was asking people these questions. Technically, it's not a proper study, although it'd be very fun to do one. But I like science, y'all. I'm sorry. Oh, it's so fun. I want whatever. Um, but most people would tell me that their senses would just be like heightened. Like they would have to, and they would say that they would have to rely on it more, and that's why they noticed it. But other people would say that their sense of smell would be heightened. Like they can't handle certain like I would make a spreadsheet of all that. Technically, I had a journal with everything. Like I literally wrote it all down. I think I don't know, it got lost like when my grandparents moved and stuff like that. I used to write down everything in journals. It was kind of wild. Because I like treated the world, or I guess everything around me like a little like science experiment. I was so fucking, I was a weird ass child. I'm still fucking weird, yo. But yeah, I thought it was really fascinating. So a lot of people, the most interesting thing to me was that some people, I would say maybe like 10 or so percent of the people that I talked to that were almost fully or near fully blind, right? Don't worry about it. But what happened is when they went blind, they noticed that certain scents were a lot stronger to them and they would have more adverse reactions to stronger scents. So like whereas beforehand, they could handle like smelling bleach or not like sniffing it, like huffing it, but like if they smelled bleach, it'd be okay. But then now that they became blind, smelling bleach would make them gag and give them headaches. And I've been very curious about like what that is. And obviously you would have to have more of a controlled study. And you can't technically make people blind ethically to do like the research on this to make sure like you have an ironclad understanding of things. Unless you had like a disease that was like a progressive disease. Like fuck, what do you call it? It's like as you get older, like the center part of your vision goes dark. Macular degeneration. So technically, you could observe the rate of macular degeneration and have people do experiments throughout that process. But then there's also some like ethical questions about that and how do you measure the rate? Also, when you get to a certain age, that macular degeneration normally happens. Most people's senses already start dulling because they're aging anyways. So that also is a factor. I've thought a lot about this. Can you tell? But anyways, Daria says it's probably some kind of strengthening effect because of the consistent use of pathways like the habit forming mechanics of cognition. That is also true. And then that also raises the question of like, we're getting so into the weeds, yo. I have no idea how we got here, but I love this conversation. But also raises into question like what I was saying before. What are the limitations of your brain? So is it that you notice those senses more because you had a sense like some of your senses removed, or is it something that you're training the pathways to become stronger and that's what it is? Because technically most people when they're blind and stuff like that, your brain actually keeps trying to talk to your eyes through your like optic nerve and your visual cortex, which is like back here. So if you have brain damage to like the back of your head right here, maybe you have like a sudden impact or whatever, you'll have like sometimes like visual issues. Optic migraines, which is something I get, is literally a seizure of your visual cortex, which kind of fucking sucks. It's actually rather fascinating how the eyes work. But yeah. Daria says, you wanted to know if you could just have extra arms and legs, which you can't. Theoretically. But here's the thing. Would your brain, this is the same question I had before, so we're going in circles now, so we can change the subject after this. Adding those extra limbs, would all of your senses be dulled to compensate with it, and would you just not notice it over time, and you would just have to occupy, like, you know? Oh, that also, there's a lot of scientific research about people who have audio processing or sensory issues, like people who are autistic. So, God, I know way too much about this shit. I'm so sorry, guys. It's probably so stupid, but I'm so sorry. But there's this thing, where, like, when you're a child, your brain just absorbs a lot of stuff very quickly, right? And then as you get older, usually around like your late teens, early 20s-ish time period, usually your late teens though, you have a lot of brain cells in your mind just kind of fucking die off. It's like a mass die-off process. Like all the information that you haven't really used, that you don't really need, just kind of starts dying off. And you don't really need it. But people with like ADHD and autism, because they're very similar, as well as some other developmental disorders and similar things, right, have issues with that like memory going away, which is why you have that stereotype of like the super autistic person or that super like ADHD person, like being able to retain knowledge that another person wouldn't be able to retain. Or there's also like another thing that comes into play with it, right? Where people who have autism or ADHD and also people with severe complex PTSD, very similar in how the brain functions, you cannot filter out stimulus as you're consuming it. So someone who is, you know, having like CPTSD, PTSD is different, it doesn't work the same way. CPTSD, ADHD, or autism, when you have those like issues, you can't filter out information the same way. And there's a lot of controversy as to whether or not it's actually because someone has ADHD or autism, or because they're traumatized inherently because of how they're treated when they're younger. And how that causes like a prolonged stress response, which is what CPTSD is. Like you can't go away. So your senses are heightened all the time. So your brain has to process more. Very interesting stuff. High anxiety is also very similar, but different because in where it's like concentrated. Anyways, this is going like really deep into stuff. This is like all controversial like psychology stuff right now. The ability to measure this data and information is really difficult because you would have to cause someone, you wouldn't have to cause necessarily trauma, but you would need a large data pool and be able to monitor almost all of someone's life and be able to like see what's going on for an extended period of time in order to actually get an answer to all these questions. Anyways, so fun, so interesting. So I wonder if people with that like thing would be able to handle more limbs easily, and if it would inherently like dull down, like your senses wouldn't be dulled, but it would actually feel more comfortable because you'd have more stimulus to work with, or if your brain would adapt to it. These are the things I think of, guys. Although I haven't thought about it in like a couple weeks, so this is really fun. You make me feel crazy. But like, it's actually really interesting. And obviously, there's even more studies that we could go into with all this sort of thing, but all of this is highly, highly argued on both sides of the space because certain people don't want to like blah blah blah. It wouldn't, I'm afraid. Well, you don't know though. The thing, because this is stuff that's very hard for us to study. Mr. Meow says the valuable aspects are probably more significant because in general our brains are not that different. That's true. But our brains are actually really different because this goes so deep into shit. You guys probably don't even give a fuck. This is also a study that's very highly contested. I highly recommend you guys just Google all this shit if you're interested. You want to go down a rabbit hole, go for it. I'm not even going to find sources because we'd be here like all day and I'd be like keyboard worrying. Like, you know, just like, ooh, you know. But anyways, there's a scientific study that states that our consciousness is not necessarily like something that is like a malleable thing that exists, but it's basically the patterns in which our brain tries to obtain information or whatever. And then there's also the theory that like our consciousness is like the spaces between the neuron activation or whatever. I can't even describe it. It's like way too advanced for me. It's something that like very whatever, but it's interesting. Daria says, in your motor cortex, you have specific areas for motor control related to your left and right sides. We don't have the equipment to plug in and control new limbs. Theoretically. That's why I'm saying, like, do we have the ability to control more? Or, like, do we have the ability, like, if we were able to actually hotwire it into our body properly, you know, just like get it all into like the right nerves in our body, because that's what you'd have to do. You would have to connect it to different nerves that already exist in your body and put it in the right ones. I don't know if you would want to do it to like your like, you wouldn't want to like hardwire, maybe you would want to put it in your spinal cord. I don't know, because spinal fluid is actually really important for like the whole process. I can't even dive into all that. It's been too long for me to like remember why it's all super important. Oh my god. I haven't like dove? How do you say it? Past tense like dive? Doven? Is that it? Y'all have me thinking so much I'm like questioning English. But yeah, no, it's very interesting. Daria says, no, because our bodies have evolved in tandem with our brains, and we don't have the capacity to process and control new limbs through the various nervous systems. That's not necessarily true, because some people are born with things like tails, and also like having like conjoined twins or whatever, where like technically you'll like put blood into it, and your nerves, if it is connected properly, you can feel if something's happening to it, and sometimes people can control like parts of the conjoined twin. Fascinating stuff. Also, sometimes people can have a conjoined twin that like didn't fully dissolve into them, and it's like actually in their body. There's lots of like Grey's Anatomy stuff about it, and it's really big in like medicine shows or whatever because it's like a huge medical anomaly. But it's really cool. Anyways, our headmaster had that. Oh, bro, that was fucking crazy. You guys got me on a tangent, bro. What the fuck? Now y'all probably think I'm fucking crazy. Maybe you don't. I don't fucking know. I didn't choose to think like this, okay? Maybe he's bored with it. Maybe it's... I don't know. I don't know. Mr. Meow says, it's okay. When technology makes this relevant, we'll answer all those questions through proper scientific tests. But here's the thing. Would these tests be ethical? That's the thing. Or would we be able to properly like map out the brain and its processes, be able to have it as like a little test thing, like a little software program on a computer that we could test, and we would do all the theoretical tests on the computer and then transfer what we do onto a person? I feel like that would be the most ethical way of doing it. But because we don't actually have an understanding of why the brain operates the way it does, specifically with consciousness and how thoughts are formed and stuff like that, we don't even understand how thoughts are formed, yo. Like, we don't even fucking get that. We're so behind. Y'all, people, we think we're smart as shit. We don't know jack shit, bro. We don't know anything. Anything compared to what we could. It's like limitless potential, baby. It's so fun. Mr. Meow says, in the end, if you have volunteers, then it doesn't matter. Ooh. Ooh. Ooh, I don't know, bro. Ooh. Dari says, but in general terms, our bodies have evolved in what we have and don't have the equipment to do it, which doesn't mean we can do it. It just means, or we can't do it. It just means it's highly unlikely to work in the same way. That's true. But here's the thing. Technically, our bodies are basically like little machines. They're really fun when you think about it at like the molecular level. You can do like very maniacal things to someone if you understand how the body works. That's why people like in Invincible, you know, Adam Eve, that one character who can like control atoms and that sort of thing. That's why her name is Adam Eve. Anyways, that's a scary as fuck superpower, because if you actually understand like molecular science or things at the atomic level, you could make literally anything at any time. It's actual nanners. Yeah. Isn't it so cool? It's so fun. I like science, but I would hate to actually do the performative science for this, like actually doing the tests and trying to like dive deep into it would like make my brain melt. I don't know how I would feel about that, but actually like thinking of how to do the experiments and the process of like how it could work, that's really cool to me. I think it's night. Y'all just understand I'm dumb as fuck though. This is all just like random shit. This is all just like, we're shooting the shit right now, okay? But we were talking about philosophy, right? So, in understanding all of this, because this goes back to Neoplatonism, which is why it's very fascinating to me. We can only perceive the world with our the limitations of our mind and our perceived senses. So our understanding is going to be confined to that. That's why I have a lot of sympathy for disabled people, because I feel like, of course, some people won't have the ability to understand things in the way that you can. And then here's the question though. Do you have a large enough ego to think that you are better than someone in knowledge and that sort of thing because your brain thinks more like intelligently, or does the other person have an advantage that you don't have? That's the perspective that tells me whether or not I should respect you as a person. You know? I think about that a lot. And when people around me like shit on disabled people, I'm like, huh. You really think that you can't learn something from them? Huh. Because their brain's just configured differently. That doesn't mean that you can't learn from them. It actually means that you can theoretically learn a lot more from them than someone who thinks similarly to you, because they're going to be perceiving things in a way that you can't even comprehend fully until they explain it to you. And even then, it's just so much more fascinating. Like, there's so much. Like, come on. Anyways, let's see. Barry says, they made us volunteer on so many of these vision pathway experiments at uni. Most psychology is based on undergrads. When I was in school, I took a lot of like the tests where they would like it was for my psych class. We had I would go into the experiment center, and they would pay you sometimes too. So I would get like $50 or whatever for being there for like half an hour, and I would have to do like vision tests and that sort of thing, and like muscle memory tests. I had to take like 15 IQ tests. Just before, because a lot of them, they have to place you with your IQ and then like your processing and that sort of thing. Very interesting stuff. That was my favorite part about being in school, like participating in those like kind of just like thought experiments where you really don't know what they're experimenting you on. But they're not like giving you drugs or anything or like medical experiments freak me out. But like just the thought and behavioral processing experiments, I think those are fun. And I think participating in those is like a big advantage to society. Mr. Meow says, it's the only, I totally forgot I did all those. I did like one every 2 weeks for a while because I needed the money. I was like, I'm poor. And I was working like a couple other jobs and stuff. It wasn't super stable though. And I would need extra cash for like lots of things. Mr. Meow says, it's only in question is because the malleability properties. We are ignoring all the techniques that it may take to make it work. We have no clue at this point since the tech doesn't exist. That's true. Mr. Meow says, I have to disagree with you on this too, Josie. Can you explain what you disagree with me on? I think it'd be more fun if you explain that to me because I've been talking a lot. And I've said so many different points. Is it all of it? Some of it? None of it? Tell me. Daria says, that's a separate but related point. The premise was, can our brains cope with another limb in traditional sense rather than Neuralink stuff? Fair. Daria says, yeah, we got kicked off if we didn't do 10 hours a year. It was extremely annoying. Yeah. I think for my program, I needed to do, I think, like 5 studies. But then I had a lot of fun. And they knew me by name. They'd be like, oh, hi, Josie. I'd just be in the waiting room. And they'd be like, hi again. I'd be like, hi. And then I got like a concussion and they wouldn't let me do it for like 3 weeks. Fun fact, that's part of why I had to drop out of college. My bed fell on me. Like my bed literally collapsed on me. And I had like it wasn't super bad, but I couldn't catch up in my classes. Because I think I was doing like 18 credit hours. It was really hard. And I had to take care of my grandparents and stuff. So I was like doing really good up until that point. And I was like, fuck. And then I still had to make money and stuff. And I had to like, yeah, I just fucked everything up. Daria says we weren't paid and it got extremely competitive to do the easy ones. Yeah. Oh, no. It was like first come, first serve. And they had so many because the uni I went to was pretty big. So they had a lot of studies going on, especially with the psych department. Although I think the psych department isn't as big as it was when I was there because of a lot of the changes that have happened. That's a whole different conversation. Mr. Meow says, I don't think our limitation is senses. I think it's our ability to process information. We are just apes with brains of apes, pretending we can understand a universe we did not evolve to understand. I agree, and I also disagree. Because, like, I think it's our ability to process information and our senses. Because if our sense capacity hasn't evolved to the point where we can perceive something, we won't be able to understand, like, how do I say it? Like, we understand the wavelengths of, like, light, right? Like, there's different, you have, like, infrared light, which is, like, fucking microwaves and that sort of thing, And we have microwaves, and we also have, like, our regular light spectrum, which is just the RGB that we see right now. The key word that you're using is understanding. No, I understand that too. But if our body had the capacity to perceive a sense, over time, evolutionarily speaking, we would be able to evolve to perceive that sense without even understanding we were perceiving it. So let me explain this in another way. Imagine that you could see, like, you could see microwaves, right? Just microwaves. And no one around you could see microwaves, but you could see microwaves. And people would think you're crazy because how would you be able to prove that you can see microwaves outside of a scientific setting? But maybe a lot of other people also have the ability to see microwaves, but their brain hasn't necessarily caught up to the fact that they can see it. This is all theoreticals, by the way, but their brain hasn't necessarily caught up to the ability that they can do it, and it's not wired to actually understand it. So, but the ability is still there. I think about that sometimes. That also goes to, like, have you ever been around a manic person and they have like fucking super strength and it's like kind of scary? Or it's adrenaline or whatever. But it's like sometimes there's like a mental block that, because that's a more realistic thing. There's like a mental block for most people in being able to do something with their body that other people don't necessarily have. That's why pain stuff is very fascinating to me, whether that be like emotional pain or physical pain. And if next time that you hurt yourself, whether you like stub your toe or whatever, like do mindfulness practices or whatever, so that you don't even, like, when you feel the pain, it doesn't trigger an emotional response. That's something that's really fascinating to me. Also, you can do that to yourself psychologically, where you can detach yourself from the emotion, not in like a psychopathic, like sociopathic way where like you don't feel it at all, but to the point where you still feel the emotion, but your body doesn't react to it anymore, because you can train yourself to not react to it. I think that there's something like that. I know I went like through a lot of different things, but all together, it all goes to whether or not the brain is like trained to process a certain thing. So I went from like far out there stuff to like actual stuff that you can implement on your own. So like if you get a paper cut, you stub your toe or do that sort of thing. I think that sort of mental practice is really fascinating, and I've been doing that ever since I was a kid. So you're saying, what if your eyes can detect microwaves, but there is no processing units in the brain to unscramble it? Yes. And then, how would you change that, you know? Like, you can change your body to respond to a certain stimulus or to not respond to a certain stimulus. You could use positive reinforcement via, like, and positive doesn't always mean like you're a happy thing. I'm talking like positive as in you're getting something out of it, right? Like you're adding a factor to the process to change the way someone reacts, like Pavlov. So you know how like people do like the whole like the Pavlov thing with the dog where like you ring a bell and then you give him a treat sometimes, because it can only be periodic. It can't be super continuous, otherwise it doesn't work. It has to be like a periodic thing. Lots of people don't get that. So it has to be perceptually randomized, you know? But anyways, that's a positive stimulus or a positive addition, because you're actually adding something to the environment to influence the behavior. Like a negative would be if you're taking something away. So like if you train yourself to not react to stubbing your toe or whatever, that would be a negative stimulus or a negative response, because you're conditioning yourself to remove a certain stimulus by not adding anything to your environment, but starting like removing something from the environment. Doesn't mean that you don't feel it, it just means that you stop reacting to it. So instead of like, oh, ow, yeah, I don't know, very, very, very like fascinating. Mr. Meow says, let's see. Oh, like senses just feed us information. Understanding the info is based on evolutionary pressures, but I guess it depends on what you mean by understanding the universe. That's fair. You can also forcibly devolve yourself, like what I was saying with pain stimulus and stuff like that, to perceiving certain things, because over time your body will adjust to certain ways of being. So the idea, God, we're going so deep into this stuff. I think about this shit constantly. It's so fun. And I just do little experiments on myself because it's so fun. Otherwise, it's like boring just being a person, right? But anyways, you can condition yourself to have a certain emotional response in something or to take it away. So like, if you make a bad decision or if you do something like, that you wouldn't normally do, right? Like, jumping, like going cliff diving, right? The first time you go cliff diving, you're probably going to be pretty afraid. You're going to be really scared. You're going to be like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And your adrenaline's going to be pumping. Your heart rate's going to be going. And you're going to have like a fear response. And then if you do it safely and that sort of thing and it ends up well, the next time you do it, you're probably still going to have a little bit of that response, but it's going to be just a little bit less than the first time. And so on and so forth, until it gets to a certain point where you don't feel the adrenaline anymore to it because you've done it so much that your body has conditioned itself to not care. That's why Pavlov, in order for it to work, you have to do it periodically, because otherwise it'll be so conditioned to the stimulus that it won't matter anymore and you won't even want it, because it's like it has to be periodic. So that's why people who go skydiving, if they want to feel the thrill of it, they can't do it all the time. They have to do it periodically. Because otherwise it's just not scary anymore. Or like people who climb to the top of Mount Everest, like the people who do it all the time and help take the people there, your body conditions itself to get used to it, and then it's just like whatever. So your body can actually do a lot more stuff than you think it can. And it also can be conditioned to have more of a response or to not have a response depending on how you treat yourself. And that's very fascinating to me. And it also makes me sound psychopathic, which is why I talk to people about this a lot. Because I'll talk to my friends about it and they'll be like, yeah. But this is very, very interesting to me. Because, like, in theory, your personality and how you perceive yourself is a direct response to how you interact with yourself. So if you choose to reinforce the anxiety that you have over a certain event or process that you're going through, then you are more likely to have either more anxiety, because your body doesn't remember your first instance of doing something. It remembers the last time you did it, if that makes sense. And it's like that with memory. So every time you remember something, you are actually remembering the last time you remembered the thing rather than the point of origin event, unless you have a form of PTSD. And that is the only time that the brain can actually have accurate flashbacks. Fun fact. So, part of PTSD treatment is the idea of making it so that instead of having flashbacks, you have the normal processes of memory. But in understanding that, you can also condition yourself to be anything that you want yourself to be. Because the reality is your personality is actually your choosing, and how you choose to behave and interact with yourself is actually your choosing. But you have chosen to be the way that you are via how you like reinforce your perception of yourself. So if you look at yourself and you're like, oh, well, my nose is like kind of, whatever, the next time you see your nose, the insecurity will just keep growing and growing and growing and growing. If you see it and you positively, by adding on to the memory that you had before, reinforce it. Or you could negatively reinforce it by taking it away, being like, oh, it's just a nose. Who cares? It's like that with everything. And the people who can actively, this goes into a lot of I help out a lot of people with PTSD and that sort of thing. So I know a lot about, like, talk to lots of different psychotherapists, psychologists, and people who are in the space. So this is why memory is kind of really important. God, I feel crazy. But it's so interesting because you can apply it to so many different aspects of your life. And yeah, literally, like, you are just what you remember yourself being the last time you thought of a thing. That's basically what it is. Unless you're in very interesting circumstances. But life is so fascinating. So if you want to be more confident as a person, you just have to change the way you perceive yourself. Because you are in control of how you perceive yourself. And if you don't want something to affect you, you literally have to think of the thought, have like a negative thing with it, just be like, oh yeah, whatever, it's just whatever. And then over time you'll be like, oh, last time I thought about this, I didn't have that big of a response. And then over time you can mutate your response to make it a bigger deal or less of a big deal. And that's also how people are insanely manipulative. So if you're around someone who brings up something about yourself and starts putting into question all the time of like, wow, you realize that that's like, this is like what bullying is for people, why it causes a long-term psychological damage. Let's say like you're bullied a lot for your weight, right? So if one person brings up your weight, you're probably going to be like, oh, like when you're a kid or whatever, you're just like, oh, that's my body, that's how it is. But then there's more positive or more influence from people around you saying the same thing over and over and over again. So the next time you think about it, you think about how someone did something negative, and it accumulates because you start adding on to it. And that's a very interesting thing. But if you practice when someone says that sort of thing to you from the very beginning, saying like, oh, sorry, I'm like diving so deep into it. I don't know if you guys are processing anything I'm saying. But if you start going like, oh, that's just what they think, or like that's whatever, that's a thought. Like not even attributing an emotion to it, just being like, oh, that's just a thought. That's what self-esteem is too. Not tying how you perceive yourself to how other people perceive you and blah, 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 blah. Being able to process it without all that sort of thing. Anyways, we've been diving so much into it, but the brain is so fascinating. Like, I just love how you can just like control everything within yourself. And this was such a long, like, ADHD tangent where I just dived super deep into it. But I've been researching this ever since I was a kid, basically, and doing experiments on myself, not on other people, because that's not ethically okay, and I'd probably freak the fuck out if I did that as a child. But, yeah. It's, I think that's why I've always had a pretty high, like, not self-esteem, I guess, but, why I didn't kill myself as a child because of the shit I went through. Because I would just be like, oh yeah, this isn't my life forever. Or this is just what they think of me, or whatever. I would just change it. And I realized as I've gotten older that most people can't really do that because they don't know how to train themselves to not be affected by what other people say. Or if you're in an environment where you notice that everyone around you is saying a certain thing and you're like, that is not like my reality, what the fuck? Like people saying like fat phobia and that sort of thing. You just have to remove yourself from that culture or environment until your self-esteem is high enough that when you're in that environment again, you're not going to be as affected by it. Because the minute that they say something, your brain's like, oh, what the fuck are they saying? That's actually crazy. But if you notice yourself affected by it, that's when you need to remove yourself, because otherwise it's just going to get worse. Because that means that you're, like, mutable, I guess. Ellie? Alik? Sorry, can I just call you Elle for now? I don't know. Elle says, people are just the culmination of their life experiences. The most important thing is the ability to change based on new information. That's true. But what do you do when you don't get any new information? Because a lot of life is just unanswered questions. So how do you handle an insecurity or whatever when you never get an answer to what could potentially make you insecure? Like, that's why people fall into religion, because they really want to understand, like, what comes next, or, whatever. Standby ad. Ah, fuck. Damn. Oh, it's so fun. So fun. Yeah, we are so sidetracked. I know we were talking about the Saudis, and now we're just like, boom. It's so good, though. Organic one-a-day vitamins for women. Yo. That's your ad. Okay. I was like, what vitamin do you need? Is it like vitamin D or whatever? I don't fucking know. Anyways, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Oh, yeah, I got it. I'm sorry. I got, as I was saying, tetrachromatic women can see UV waves. The brain can handle it to some extent. That's what I was saying. I know, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised, Darius. Let it begin. Alright, back to okay, you know, I didn't intend. I wish I didn't have ads, yo. I donate all of it because it makes me feel bad. Okay, okay. It's like when I first started streaming, I was like, I'm gonna make it. I don't know. I didn't really intend to, but I made it to like affiliate, and then I was like, oh fuck. And then I emailed Twitch, and I was like, how do I make it go away? And they're just like, oh well, we would just remove your affiliate status, and you'd never get it back, and you'd still have ads on your fucking channel anyways. And I was like, fuck it, because I'm donating it to charity instead. Anyways, but yeah, I know, Darius, I'm kind of like bitter about it. Elle says, I take all my money and put it back into stream equipment. Not that I make that much anyway. Vibes. Vibes, vibes. Fellow streamer. Hey, I hope you know that we have a lot of streamers here. Just so you know. Random ones, supposedly. They're like, I'm a streamer. And I'm like, are you really, though? Are you really? Are you just lying to me, sir? I think I can cover a mouse pad now. LOL. Same. Oh, fuck. Anyways, I'm not a streamer. I know you're not a streamer, Mr. Meows. Elle says, I stream though I'm not a streamer. I don't know if I'd consider myself a streamer. My friends say I'm a streamer, but like, I don't know. I have to like not talk about my work because now people I talked about Charlie Kirk on TikTok and then someone doxed my workplace. Which was funny because I don't work there anymore. But like now I'm getting like messages on my Instagram and people are like, do you work here? Like I'm not even joking. And I'm just like, I haven't worked there in a while, so it's probably good that I don't post anything like on my LinkedIn or whatever. Daria says, to me, streamer implies it's your main form of income. Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Okay, y'all. What'd you say about Charlie Kirk? Well, Charlie Kirk died. I made a TikTok and I was like, rest in piss. But I didn't say rest in piss. I was like, I don't feel bad that he fucking died. And I was like, because he's been so like cruel to people. Like, he's horrible. He's super fucking racist, super misogynistic. And then my I wrote in letters, rest in piss, as like a joke. But then the Charlie Kirk thing like blew up a lot more than I thought it would. So I deleted it and I redid another thing. Hi, Oz. Hello, hello. I know, Darius. And Mr. Meows, yeah, some people say that. But anyways, so I said that, but then it like blew up and then someone took my thing, they screen recorded it, and they put it on a fucking hate channel, and they were like, find her. Like, where does she work? What does she do? It blew up more than you thought it would. No, it like didn't blow up on my channel. Someone screen recorded it and then put it on some like Charlie Kirk like channel or whatever. It was like a TikTok thing that was just filled with like people who were like said anything critical about Charlie Kirk. I didn't know it would become such a big thing, just so you guys know. So I deleted it and I refilmed it, you know, because I was like, okay, I need to add more context to this. And then they reposted it and they like added me and they're like, find her. And now I've gotten like 5 fucking DMs on Instagram of like, we know where you work. And I'm just like, hey yo, I don't work there anymore. But I don't respond because it's like, yeah. Well, I hope I don't get targeted for watching your stream. I don't fucking know. I don't even think any of these people know that I fucking stream. But it was like my first thing. And I thought it was a joke because anytime people are mean to me, I always think it's a joke at first. Like, I don't actually think they're being malicious to me because I'm like, no way they're that fucking stupid to say that shit to me. Oh, shit. Oh, interception alert. Flotilla stuff is happening. Let's see. They're preparing to be intercepted in 1 or 2 hours. Contact governments. No. Let's see. Now let's see. I don't know what's going on. Sorry, distraction. I have the flotilla up here. Here. No, nothing so far. It just like, I think routers is prepping for like a potential interception soon. So they have all of the boats, and then they've been like reformatting stuff, and then obviously since they're doing it on live, they're testing it. I think everything's okay now. Everything looks good. I don't see any like boats. But it says people in the comments are like, they're prepping to be intercepted in 1 to 2 hours. Contact governments and embassies now. Okay, sorry. Elle says, regardless of political affiliation, no one deserves to die over words. Extremism is getting out of hand on both sides. I agree to an extent, yeah. Like, ever since I've started streaming, I've gotten a lot of, like, anarchists and stuff like that in my chat saying, like, oh, you know, political violence is the only way that revolutions happen. I am not a proponent of political violence because I think for systems to change, taking the current system and slowly evolving it over time, like a ship of Theseus sort of situation, is the best way to make change. But you also have to make it so you cannot regress back into prior policies. And that is a very difficult thing, especially with how our, here in the States, how our democracy is set up. Darius says, let me guess, the French have crashed into the Spanish. No. I bet they even made it direct alongside of the C2. Bruh, shut the fuck up, Darius. No. Mind yourself. Let's see. Yeah, all the boats are looking good. No one's been boarded yet. We're okay. I hope the Flotilla makes it. They're in Egyptian waters right now, too. I hope Egypt protects them, but also Masoud has not been super helpful. Darius is from the UK, yeah. Sorry, we all got super sidetracked. But anyways, Elle says, U.S. democracy is a stretch right now, mainly sponsored seniors making uneducated decisions for us. Honestly, so true. So fucking true. They don't even understand how they don't understand how to set up a social media page. They don't even understand how people get news anymore. Like, I think it was a couple of years ago. Yeah, they barely understand the internet. I know. I fucking know. I know. And sometimes I get really frustrated watching, like, things like in Canada or maybe, like, Sweden or the Netherlands or whatever. Their governments are more designed where you have specialists who actually have that background in positions where it matters the most, instead of someone like fucking Dr. Oz and RFK Jr. Watching them makes me lose my mind. Mr. Biao says, don't worry, when I turn 70 and start my political career, I will drain the swamp for sure. Fuck. I'll cry. Honestly. Sorry, I'm like so distracted. Anyways, Elle says, yeah, US politics is just a popularity contest right now, which is insane. Low-key, not trying to be like a pessimist or anything, but it's always been a popularity contest. The only difference is that the information that we have regarding each candidate is, okay, keep in mind, up until like, I think it was the mid, I don't know, like 1900s, the Republican Party and the Democratic Party, because, you know, we're in a dual party system here, they technically decided who was going to be running for president or whatever, and the people didn't necessarily get to decide any of that. So nowadays we have the primaries and then the general election. In the primaries, you vote for the Republican candidate, the Democrat candidate, or whatever party you're part of, and then whoever gets the most votes goes on to the general election, and then it becomes party v party or whatever. Technically, you can still write in votes or whatever, but that doesn't fucking matter that much. It doesn't really come out with a super great outcome. But that's pretty much how it is. But it wasn't like that originally. I think that's rather fascinating. It was more like how it was kind of like a cross between what we have now and what like prime ministers are like in the UK and a lot of other European nations. Darius says, anything with the vote kind of turns into unfair. Yeah, And now it's more pure popularity. Yeah. Well, most people don't have the time to be really educated on what's going on in current events. Also, consider how the educational system within the United States is not even standardized anymore. Like, you do have some standardized tests, like the ACT and the SAT, but overall, most of the curriculum, state to state, is very flexible. So you can have certain people who are like learning very in-depth parts of our government, current government politics, stuff like that, news, all that sort of thing, right? And then other states where none of that is even happening within those classes. You're just learning about history. And even that history can be altered just so it hits the main points that you need to in order to pass those tests. It's fucking crazy. Our educational system is whack as fuck. Daria says, I think it's always been fairly tribal, but now it's just crazy. Trump didn't have a single economic policy beyond tariffs and buying Greenland. That's fair. Can you explain that TikTok video of a guy being arrested in Norway during some Ursula rally? Me? Probably not. I don't know a ton about Norwegian stuff. If any of you guys are Norwegian. Also, Elle, where are you from? I'm curious. You have me curious, sir. Curiosity. From is a hard one, bro. This is a fucking meme. I don't know. Do you live in the States, yo? Born in Australia, grew up in Italy, now back in Australia. Also lived in Spain. Oh, lovely. Oh. I want to everybody in the Mediterranean. Arizona. Oh. I thought you meant like Australia. I thought it was a typo. I was going to be so excited. Arizona's okay. Yeah, we're in Spain. Darius is going to check you, bro. Go back to your own planet whilst you still can. Yeah. America's kind of wild. Spain would be really chill. Mr. Meow says, she was yelling at him after he disrupted her about how he should be glad to be in Norway, where they have freedom of speech, and if they were in Russia, he would have been arrested, as he is literally being arrested in the video. Elle says, now, closed military base. And Daria says, I was hoping for a fellow Austrian. I know! It's so confusing. Everyone's from so many different places, so I'm just like, what is happening? It's okay. It's very rare that I get like an American in my chat that actually enjoys it here. Most of the time they're out like, you crazy person! Torejan. I know you're supposed to roll your R's, but I'm really mad at it. Torejan. Daria says no Austrian, Asturian. It's the northern part of Spain. Oh. Just so you guys know, I'm dyslexic as fuck. Mr. Mouse says, I don't know what I am anymore. It's like the existential crisis. Is America even worth it? Should I even stay here?
Dinner is ready.
Is it really ready?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I have the sauce in the pan ready to pour.
Do you want to come here and talk about...
No, I'm making food. I gotta pour the sauce. And then food is ready. Yeah.
What the fuck was that? We take turns cooking, by the way. Dory says, put another shrimp on the Barbie. Elle says, I enjoy hearing people's views. Helps me learn also. That's fair. That's fair. That's fair. I respect that. Mr. Meow says, I lived in 3 different countries. I travel a lot. I know. I envy. Torrejon is Madrid, no? I think I've flown into that airport, yeah, pretty much. Get me out of here! Every time my friends leave the country, they're like, so Josie, are you gonna come with me? And I got like my passport ready, and I'm just like, give me money. Like, I'm just waiting for there to be like a good deal or something, and I'm just like, I'm gonna go. I actually have to plan for it. Being in school doesn't help because all of my money goes to my school shit, and it's fucking ridiculous. I mean, not all of it, but a lot of it does. Dari says that was a very clever joke, Josie, about someone confusing Austria with Australia. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. Oh no. Okay, so just so y'all know, this is for you, Darius, because you're being a little fucking shit. Just so you know, you're pissing me off, bro. Elle says, I find opinions on politics, gun, cars, brands, all interesting. Ah, vibes. Well, I talk about all those things. Not always guns. Although, if I had more money, I'd go to a shooting range more often. I think it's really fun. I feel like it'd be such a cute date idea, because then I feel like they could know that they shouldn't fuck with me, because then we both have the potential to die somehow. You know? I don't know what that says about me. Yeah, ammo do be expensive. Yeah, that's true. But also, she was in a... Just shut up, Mr. Meow. Shut up. Shut the fuck up. Don't tell everybody that. You're gonna put me on a fucking watch list. I probably already am on a watch list, honestly. I'm such a good girl, though. I only do mild political things. Daria says, I don't know what's more passive-aggressive. Your date ideas or using British accent to tell me to fuck you. No, I said... Mr. Meow says you definitely are. I know. I want you to know that I'm not anymore. I moved. Anyways. I guess it's time for me to go. I guess it's time for me to go now. I'm so bad with guns. I don't know how to shoot a gun at all. And what? I don't know. I'm actually not that good, just so you guys know. I feel like I should have never talked about that. Although Andrew's the one who brought it up initially, and then you guys always fucking bring it up, and then I'm just sitting here and I'm like, fuck, shut the fuck up.
What are we bringing up?
The militia.
Oh, yeah.
Andrew was like, you need to. No.
You shouldn't live in the Midwest. All I'm gonna say.
Me?
Not you.
Them?
Nobody should.
Huh.
Nobody should grow up with that little to do. Was Andrew? No, I was in college.
Elle says, yeah, it's not that bad, but with that being said, I do carry concealed. Oh, I have a concealed weapons permit. Nice.
Alright.
I feel like I would put it where my dick is. You know, I don't have a dick, by the way. That's the joke.
You got a cock.
A big schlong. I'm sorry. Anyways, Dari says, and Josie just commandeered a Black Panthers for a militia story, Andrew. Nope, Andrew already left. He's not going to tell you my militia story. Anyways, that's called appendix carry. That's how I carry LOL. Actually, really? Damn. So then if you meet like a hottie with a body yaddy and then she wants to do like a little like ooh, all she's gonna feel is like you're the wrong gun. You're gonna give her the wrong type of ammunition. I'm sorry. I'm actually not that sorry because I think it's funny as fuck. Yeah, see, oh, okay. I'm sorry. Okay. To be fair, my favorite thing to shoot. I'm married. Don't have to worry about it. Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Now I feel bad. I'm sorry. Daria says, it's just scary to me, Elle. We don't see guns here, and TBH, only farmers have them, so we can get a bit more cheeky with the police and things, yeah. It's impossible to offend me, let it fly. No, I feel like I shouldn't make, like, little, like, thotty with the body yaddy jokes on Twitch, because y'all are always in, like, y'all are like, I'm married, or I'm in a relationship, and I'm like, gee whiz. I always just try. I always feel bad because I'm just like, I feel like I like, I'm coming! Okay, anyways. So my initial intention was to, it's not about you. It's about the fact that every time I do it, I'm like, damn, I feel like not a girl's girl every time I make the joke, and I'm like, I just need to stop it. Or I don't know. Elle says, my thought on the offense culture, when it's so true, if it's true, so why be offended? It's not true, so why be offended? Okay, that's fair. I respect that. Also, I guess it's time for me to go. I guess it's time for me to go now. Thank you for hanging out with me, Elle, and also other people who are hanging out today. If you would like to hang out with me another day, please hit the follow thing or whatever. Yeah, you can see me here every day for the most part, because I'm obsessed with streaming. Anyways, no, Darius, I'm not singing Bella Ciao. Fucking hell! Oh my god. Chill. I will hit the follow button again. Okay, Mr. Meow. People shit on me and they're just like, you need to plug. Okay, thank you for the follow, Elle. I apologize. Tomorrow is cooking stream, so we're probably gonna talk about a lot of similar stuff, just with me cooking food. Yum yum. And then, yeah, we do discuss a lot of these things. The follow button becomes an unfollow button. Just fucking spam it. No, actually, don't do that. Don't do that. I feel like that's bad for me. I apologize for what? I don't know. I should go now. I need to go eat food. My brain's like turning off. Also, you all should watch the Flotilla. If you can, because I think they're starting to put their jackets on and stuff like that, their life jackets on in case something happens. Anyways, I'm gonna be watching it for a little bit, and I hope you guys do too. So, thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today. I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I will see you guys tomorrow for the cooking stream. So, sleep well, stay safe, and stay alive. Thanks.